While some NFL teams are facing murky and gloomy futures, other teams have actually aced the art of constructing a sustainable contender.
It was the youngest team in the NFL last year. To have them type of guys with another year's worth of experience, we added some pieces. We added McCall Harmon, we got Nate Hobbs. I think we're going to be straight.
With the 2025 NFL season fast approaching, I think it's a good time to dive into 5 teams that are facing very dark futures and 5 with the brightest. Dark San Francisco 49ers. Oh man, where to start? Well, first, all-pro offensive tackle Trent Williams is now entering his age 37 season. Star running back Christian McCaffrey has durability issues and is not getting any younger. Extending tight end George Kittle just ahead of his 32nd birthday was also an interesting choice. The salary cap forced the 49ers to bid farewell to plenty of key veterans this offseason, including Deebo Samuel, Aaron Banks, Dre Greenlaw, Leonard Floyd, Javon Hargrave, Charvarius Ward, and Talanoa Hufanga. And with Brock Purdy's looming extension set to take a big chunk out of the 49ers' long-term salary cap room, well, it's hard to be optimistic about the big picture in the Bay Area. The 49ers also play in a tough NFC West, featuring 3 playoff contenders with much younger core players. So add it all up, and it feels like the 49ers will soon be back to where they spent much of the 2000s and 2010s, the bottom of the NFL standings. Bright Washington Commanders. What more is there to say about the 2024 NFC runner-ups? All Jaden Daniels did was have by far the best rookie quarterback season ever, leading Washington to its first playoff win in 19 years and its first NFC championship game since 1991. Daniels, head coach Dan Quinn, and GM Adam Peters have completely transformed the culture of this team. The stench of Dan Snyder's toxicity and muck is now long gone. New owner Josh Harris, thankfully, is hands-off and just lets his guys do their work, a task that was seemingly impossible for Mr. Snyder. So I mean, having the right ownership, GM, head coach, and QB alone has Washington set up nicely over the long run. But man, do we ever love their roster that has a nice mix of young and veteran talent. Daniels, Terry McLaurin, Deebo Samuel, Brian Robinson, and Austin Eckler round out an explosive offensive nucleus. The O-line is bolstered by the additions of veteran Pro Bowler Laramie Tunsil and first-round pick Josh Connerly Jr. Washington's secondary is a work in progress, but their front 7 is set up nicely with Frankie Louvu, Deron Payne, and future Hall of Famer Bobby Wagner leading the way. And Peters will just slowly but surely add more beef to this defense. Crushing the Detroit Lions at Ford Field in the divisional round was just a sign of what's to come in DC. They have a real winner at QB and a top-tier GM head coach duo. It shan't be long until the nation's capital celebrates its first Super Bowl parade in over 3 decades. Dark Pittsburgh Steelers. We're at the point now where we don't know what the plan is in Pittsburgh anymore. They haven't won a playoff game since the 2016 season, but Mike Tomlin just keeps finding ways to get his team into the dance despite mediocre quarterback production. The Steelers haven't suffered a losing season since 2003, a remarkable feat. But is the goal just to keep that streak going, or I don't know, maybe actually compete for Super Bowls? The Steelers have been in the mushy middle since 2018. Good enough to make the playoffs, but not quite good enough to make a Super Bowl run. That also means not being bad enough to get a franchise-changing top 10 draft pick. Franchise pillars TJ Watt and Cameron Hayward aren't getting any younger. So, I mean, how much longer will this aging defense actually hold up? Trading for DK Metcalf to bolster the offense was nice and all, but who else do the Steelers realistically have to scare opposing defenses? If the Steelers don't sign Aaron Rodgers, well, they're doomed. If they do get Aaron Rodgers, they might be competitive for like 1 or 2 more years max. And then it's right back to the drawing board at quarterback. Oh, and did we mention the Steelers play in the AFC North featuring 2 of the league's top 4 QBs in Joe Burrow and Lamar Jackson? Unless Pittsburgh gets his hands on a young franchise-changing QB next year, or unless they devote to a full-scale rebuild, they'll remain in the mushy middle for the long run. And that is the last place that you want to be, right? Denver Broncos. It's pretty amazing how much one head coach can quickly change the outlook of a franchise. Peyton and the Broncos decided to bite the bullet and release Wilson after 2 seasons, taking on $85 million in dead money. Then they used the number 12 pick on Oregon QB Bo Nix, kickstarting a fresh new era of Broncos football. Led by Nixon Sertan, who won 2024 Defensive Player of the Year honors, the Broncos exceeded expectations with a 10-7 finish in order to end a 9-year playoff drought. Yes, they were ultimately humbled by the Buffalo Bills on wildcard weekend, but GM George Payton made the moves to make sure that his club can take that next step forward in 2025. The Broncos bolstered their defense by signing all-pro safety Talanoa Hufanga and workhorse linebacker Dre Greenlaw before using their first-round pick on Texas corner Jahdae Barron. So Denver has a championship-level defense full of young studs, a Hall of Fame-worthy head coach, and a 25-year-old franchise quarterback. Oh yeah, that is all the main ingredients needed to build a long-term contender. Dark Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Bucs are the best team in football's worst division, aka the NFC South. Kudos to them on being hungrier than their foes, but the long-term picture in Tampa is pretty bleak. As fun a story as Baker Mayfield is, we're still skeptical that he'll keep this up much longer. Mike Evans entering his age 32 season will slow down sooner rather than later. Even Chris Godwin entering his age 29 campaign may never quite be 100% again after suffering a gruesome ankle injury last year. Three of Tampa's best defensive players, Levante David, Hassan Reddick, and Vita Vea, are now in their 30s. The Bucs don't have any young stud defensive players in the secondary, which has been a bit of a problem under Todd Bowles for a while now. I mean, at least the Atlanta Falcons and Carolina Panthers have young QBs and franchise pillars to build around. In short time, they'll close the gap with an aging and mediocre Bucs roster and push Tampa down into the territory of irrelevance. So hey, enjoy your 10-win ceiling and annual home playoff games while you got them, Bucs fans, because they ain't gonna last forever. Right, Houston Texans. The Texans are coming off a second straight AFC South Division crown title and Elite Eight appearance, and believe us, they're only getting started. CJ Stroud still hasn't experienced what it's like to play behind a non-horrible offensive line. Star wideout Tank Dell has yet to play a postseason game after suffering 2 straight season-ending injuries, and yet Stroud's Texans were close-ish to beating the Kansas City Chiefs in the divisional round last year. Stroud is inching toward top 5 QB territory. The Texans just drafted Jaden Higgins and Jalen Knoll to bolster an already deep supporting cast featuring Dell, Nico Collins, and Joe Mixon. Defensive pillars Will Anderson Jr. and Derek Stingley Jr. are top 5 guys at their positions, and veterans CJ Gardner-Johnson, Daniil Hunter, well, they can still take over a game at any given moment. Head coach D'Amico Ryans did not need long to turn these Texans into a playoff team. And yet, their best days are still ahead. The real party hasn't started in Houston yet, folks. Buckle up. Dark Cleveland Browns. Not sure about you, but, well, we're having a difficult time finding something positive to say about this Cleveland squad as it's currently constructed. Trading Myles Garrett would have scored a monster haul to accelerate the rebuild, but decided to extend him for $160 million. They could have drafted a generational prospect and two-way phenom in Travis Hunter, only to trade down from the number 2 spot via the Jacksonville Jaguars.
We had the opportunity to pick Travis Hunter. Why we didn't, we will never know. Typical Browns.
Not sure how you feel about Jerome Ford and rookie Quinshon Judkins, but we doubt they'll be as productive as Nick Chubb was in his prime. Their O-line is a strength, sure, but Wyatt Teller, Jack Conklin, and Joel Bitonio are all on the wrong side of 30. Garrett is entering his age 29 season. Jerry Jeudy is their only playmaking receiver, and we wouldn't exactly call him a star. Oh, and, well, the Browns don't have a long-term solution at QB lined up. But hey, you know, other than that, the long-term outlook in Cleveland doesn't seem so bad. Right? Chicago Bears. For the first time since the early Lovie Smith years, there is a lot for Bears Nation to be excited about. 2024 first overall pick Caleb Williams was the real deal on a lousy Bears team last year, despite playing behind the league's worst O-line with incompetent coaching. Well, the Bears hired a hotshot young head coach in Ben Johnson to save the day, following a remarkable run as Dan Campbell's offensive coordinator in Detroit. Johnson takes over a star-studded offensive core led by Williams, DJ Moore, Rome Odunze, Cole Kmet, and rookies Luther Burden III and Colston Loveland. The young defense is no joke either, with Tyreek Stevenson, Kyler Gordon, and Jalen Johnson forming a stingy secondary. With a plethora of youthful talent, a brilliant offensive-minded coach, and a can't-miss young phenom at QB, the Windy City may as well become the Sunny City, at least figuratively. Dark New Orleans Saints. It's rather amazing just how this team has operated since Drew Brees' retirement in 2021. They keep going for it by extending fading veterans and throwing money around carelessly in free agency. Allow us to keep Mickey Loomis as GM even though he hasn't done a dang thing right in the post-Brees era. The Saints just keep restructuring players' deals so they can pay the hefty salary cap bills down the road, when they should have bit the bullet years ago. Seriously, why are you operating like a Super Bowl contender when you're stuck in mediocrity? Bright, Green Bay Packers. The Packers have the three main components of a sustainable long-term contender: a savvy front office, a top-tier head coach, and a franchise QB. This is one of the game's top head coach QB tandems. And to think, Love hasn't even hit his ceiling yet. The young nucleus features Love and the three-headed receiving monster of Jaden Reed, Matthew Golden, and Romeo Doubs, plus underrated tight end Tucker Kraft. And former rushing champion Josh Jacobs is still fairly young at age 27. Recent first-round picks Devontae Wyatt, Edgerrin Cooper, and Lucas Van Ness complement a great set of veterans on defense led by Kenny Clark, Xavier McKinney, and Rashawn Gary, too. At this time, it feels like a matter of when, not if, the Packers win a Super Bowl with Love. But hey, which other NFL teams are facing dark futures, and which ones have the brightest? Let us know in the comment section below. If you like this video and learned a thing or two, then hey, clicking the like button helps out a ton, and you know, we really appreciate it. If this is your first time coming around to TPS though, then subscribing is a great idea, because we put out videos like this every single day. But as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.